Hi, it's Marissa, MKissa Creations here on YouTube, or Flosstube as we like to call it, and it's time for another Flosstube video. Hi everybody, it is Wednesday, August 5th, and my name is Marissa, and this is a Flosstube channel, which is a YouTube channel that is about cross stitch. This is Flosstube number 78 for me. That just counts my regular Flosstubes, does not count whip parades and other little bonus features that I do, or Flosstube extras. My last video was a Flosstube extra. It was a planner video where I talked about the planners that I use to track my cross stitching. And I actually thought that I would share with you another planner that I got. This one was a pickup at a thrift store, I believe. It's not something that I purchased for myself, although it does sell for $12.99, and I will link it below if I can find one if you are interested in it. But it is called a 90-day journal, the ultimate productivity planner, and it is broken. The reason that I am really enjoying this now, I just started on Monday, so we'll see how it goes, but it gives you a month in focus page, and then it breaks it down. It also gives you examples, so I'll show you their example pages. I really like that their example pages were not fully filled out. This was just reinvigorating as far as how I feel about planners. If sometimes you don't get the full, you feel like you didn't fill it out enough and you didn't get your money's worth. They have their month set up, and it just has like certain things. So it has a calendar by day, so important things, has goals you want to focus on for the month, and then notes and reminders. And then it shows you what the week page looks like. So it shows you a week layout, and you add goals for the week, and then you break down kind of to-dos on the individual weekdays, kind of important things that you want to put. And then it gives you 7 days of individual day planning. And then it shows you the example of once you finish in the month, it gives you a month in review. The idea of this planner only being 90 days to help your productivity is so that you don't run into that whole, like, I've had this for a whole year and I've only filled out a couple days. It gives you a 90-day goal to kind of form new habits. So I am enjoying this so far. I've got my first week kind of going in here. I did take the week off of my full-time job, so I am only working my part-time this week, which has allowed for a lot of this. So we're gonna see how it goes next week and if this kind of continues. But I have been sitting down for about 10 minutes at the beginning of my day, and then maybe 15 or 20 in the evening, and when everyone goes to bed and it's quiet, and kind of revamping my day and starting out the next day. Getting to do things out of my brain and onto paper before I go to sleep has been helpful in the falling asleep process. Also, it is hot. So, and my air conditioner is off so that it does not bother you with noise. So anyways, this is the current planner that I'm using. I did have to like make some serious effort to like break the spine because it was just not conducive to writing. And as, I don't know, sometimes breaking the spine of a book is like really not the goal. In this case, it needed it for function, and so I did it, and kind of felt good. So I don't know, some people will get that. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. But breaking the spine felt awesome on this one, so that's where we're at. A little bit of housekeeping. If you were waiting on a giveaway from me, they did finally all go out. I made it to the post office in this week off that I am taking, and it was one of my goals, and I accomplished it. Really wanted to get that check mark and really wanted to get you your giveaways. So apologies for everybody that's been waiting on something for me for a while. They are all out and on their way to you now, and now I can feel good about if I do another one to try to get that moving a little bit quicker. What have I been up to this week? So it's only been, this is 2.5 days now of being off of my other job. On Monday, I started gutting my craft room. It's turned into a catch-all room for the family. We have a lot of rearranging in the house that we want to do. I really want to enjoy my home this winter while we're here. I really want to start living in a house that's decorated as a home. I think I've talked about this before, but our kids are now 9 and 10, and we're at the point now where we need less function and just more of our lives in our homes. So I think that being able to actually decorate is going to be great, but I need to purge first. So we do have in our future a, I pulled all of my cross stitch stash. I did that on last night. I got it all into a lovely tote bag, and we're gonna go through that, and I'm going to sort between things that can go to the craft reuse store, things that I might want to either give away or sell, and then things that I know that I am still planning on using in the future, so that we can make a dent in it that way. Took out a couple trash bags from the craft room as well, and took some stuff to the thrift shop already to donate, not the craft reuse store, but just regular thrift shop stuff. So we're making progress on the week off, although I will say I have not really been stitching all that much. It's been, I think, 3 weeks now since I filmed a regular Flosstube video, so I do have a couple of whips to show you, or a few whips to show you, but my stitching has not been, it's not been a lot. We have had a busy summer, and I always say at the beginning of the summer that summer's gonna summer and we're gonna let it go. I'm not gonna feel bad about it. The winter and the fall are great stitching time. I will say also that my husband and I were both saying we're kind of ready for the not busyness of summer to happen. The busyness of the school year, I think, will be its own battle to fight, because our children will be going to 2 different schools this year, so it's gonna take some adjusting, but we will get there. All right, we are 6 minutes in, and however many minutes it's going to show for you. I did have a couple little pauses, but we haven't shown any cross stitch yet, so I think it's really time for that. Okay, here we go. So my full coverage focus, which I mentioned, I think that it was going to be, was What Lies Beneath. This is artwork by David Lozeau. It is charted by Unconventional X Stitch. It is a tall, skinny pattern. I absolutely love it. It is currently a lot of 939, though that's going to change as we move up in the pattern. So the 939 is all the really dark in the bottom, and then it kind of gets lighter. There is still a ton of 939 in the pattern, but it's been great, and I really love stitching on this, and I love seeing the progress and the different parts of it come to life. So here's where this was the last time you saw it, and I actually have it out of the Q-snap, which doesn't happen all that often, but because I did have to move it because I needed to get a little further up. So I finished 2 pages. No, I finished 1 page since I talked to you last, but I'm really close on the second one. So this will probably go back into the Q-snap and get stitched on a little bit more so I can get that other page finished. But here's where this is at. So hopefully I'm smart enough to leave that other picture up for a little bit. But I made a ton of progress in this area over here. So I finished the page that's here, and I'm working on the page that's here. Again, this is Unconventional X Stitch, so pages are a little bit smaller than a lot bit smaller than Heaven and Earth design pages, so get those page finishes a little bit more quickly. And you can just really see those skulls. You can really see the other point in the anchor is kind of over here, so, and the other point's right there. And I don't know if you're able to see, but there's like kind of chains coming down in this dark area. They are visible a little bit more maybe so in person. Oh, there, I think that allows you to see them. So the charting on this is just wonderful. I absolutely adore it. This is just such a fun stitch. Creepy, but perfect. All right, and then I worked on Fish and Ships from Long Dog Samplers. I'll put a picture of what that looks like when it's finished here. This one I worked on for 6 days. Not a ton of stitching each day, but progress is progress. And I'll put a picture up of where this was the last time you saw it, I believe. Hopefully hopefully, or at least it will be like what it looked like when I put it in the Q-snap. And I will show you what this looks like now. It's being stitched on Frozen Fractals from Hand-Dyed Fabrics by Steph, and it's being stitched with a Silks for You silk. I made it all the way up to the top corner. I got some back stitching done, which was exciting. There's not a ton of back stitching in this, but a little bit. The Lighthouse definitely had some back stitch work. Hopefully you can see that coming into play right there. It seems a little blurry today, but all right, so this project is currently at 68.69%. Let's cover my face. I have 5,152 stitches left to go, so that's really exciting. Hopefully I can knock out a finish on this in the next 2 months. I will say I had been on a roll of getting a project finished every month of the year, January through June. July didn't happen. We got together with our stitchy group at my friend's house, and I had fish and chips with me, and then I had this next one that I'm going to show you, and I asked my friend Tina, do you think I can finish this one in July? There were only like, I don't know, 5 days left in July at that point. And she said, winter Marissa might have been able to, but summer Marissa, I don't think so. Thank you for the reality check, Tina. This is from the Witchy Stitcher's Witchy Stitching book. And it is the Memento Mori pattern. I think that's what it's called. Yep, Memento Mori. It is this. I started this for the collector sale, which was the birthday sale that I ran in the month of March. And I am working on getting all of the DMC 310 in. And here is where I got that to. This is being stitched on a 32 count Murky from Picture This Plus. It is a fairly dark piece of Murky. It's an older piece of Murky. I don't know if that makes a difference. I worked mostly up here in this area and worked on the moth. So getting some of that 310 done on the moth. So those are the 3 things that I have worked on in the last 3 weeks. It has, like I said, it has not been a ton of stitching. I have gotten progress though, which is exciting, and giving myself a little bit of grace on the summertime stitching. I am really excited to go through my stash bin with you and see maybe what you guys might like to see as a giveaway, or what I just might bring to the Craft For You store, and what I might like throw up on eBay or Etsy. I don't know yet. I have an eBay, but I don't really think I want to sell anything on Etsy. That's where my patterns are available, but it's a frustrating world there right now. I also had some requests. Oh, let's talk about Midsummer Stitch. So if you are here because you saw me on Midsummer Stitch, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. I did a Midsummer Stitch Flosstube live with Megan, the Wide-Eyed Stitcher, or Wide-Eyed Stitching Child. I think she's Wide-Eyed Stitcher on YouTube and Wide-Eyed Stitching Child on Instagram. Megan and I met years ago in this Flosstube world when it was still SM All, and we have always been, you know, just kind of going back and forth like this with our lives, with our projects. We have a lot of similar interests and similar styles, and so it was an absolute pleasure to do a Flosstube live with her. We had so much fun. We were both barrels full of nerves, but I think we kind of shook that all out before we did our live, and I think it just went really well. I believe you can still watch that if you did attend Midsummer Stitch and you were not able to catch it. You can still watch the replay of it. It is on there. We talked about our whips, we talked about our stitching styles, we talked about all sorts of fun stuff, but I just think that it is so fantastic that so many of you decided to pop on over here and check me out. I really appreciate you being here, so thank you so much for that. I did get a question, I think afterwards. I had jumped into a stitching room, and the said the Steadfast Stitcher asked me if I was going to do another garden video because I've done little kind of garden videos in the past. So this morning before I filmed, I went out to the garden and did a quick little walking tour of my garden and what we have going this year. So I'm going to stick that on the end of this video so you can hang out and watch that if you like. I am not a fancy gardener. I am a, like, let's get what we can out of this garden. I during the yuck times had lofty inspirations for a garden, but again, 2 jobs and 2 kids makes for not a ton of extra time, plus hobbies that I like to keep up with as well. Gardening is one of them, but I am not a huge fan of being out with the bugs and weeding my garden, so I really try to make that as a productive but hands-off as possible. So that is the way that my garden kind of lives out there. And so I will show you that. It is not an award-winning garden, but it's producing fantastic this year, and we are really happy with it and the choices that we made. For cross-stitch plans, I don't know. I am just kind of grabbing what calls to me. I do think I will work on What Lies Beneath a little bit more. I do want to get that additional page finish because those always feel so good. And it just, I almost got 2 in one day, but I couldn't stay up any longer. And then it got put to the wayside because when we when I took this week off, I was like, I want to focus on getting that room into a usable space. So hopefully this is my last video out here, and we're gonna move into my craft room for videos, which will be wonderful because then I can leave the AC on and I can shut the door. Right now I film in my living room, so there's not like, I have to film when no one's home, or I have to like hand my kids electronics and tell them to be quiet. And I don't like forcing them into that. And plus, like, those are supposed to be like for special fun times, their electronics, not for like mommy needs to do this. But anyways, long story long, hopefully I'm going to be moving into my craft room for filming, so that will be exciting. Just, we're doing well, we're chugging along through the summer, and I hope that you are doing the same. If you are gardening also, let me know what your favorite producer has been so far this year. We are just coming, like, we have a slow start, so we don't start, like, it's recommended not to plant until after the full moon in May here in Maine, and that's where I lost some cucumbers this year because I went a little bit early. And sometimes you think you can go a little bit early. I do try to check out the forecast, but we kind of got a surprise real low temp night, and the cucumbers did not appreciate that. And so they just were a thing that didn't happen this year, and that's okay. I wasn't going to go out and buy new ones and start again. Cucumbers aren't really a plant that likes to be transplanted all that much, so I try to start in the ground for those. Yeah, I don't know, cross stitch wise, I don't know, we're gonna go. The craft room situation, I feel like is my cross stitch, my crafty outlet right now. I will say I am also really being drawn to fabric again, and so I really want to get some sewing done. That's another big motivator in getting my craft room cleaned up. Quilting's a lot harder to put away than cross stitch is, and so when I have it behind a locked room, it at least doesn't have to be like fully repacked up and then brought out again. So that might be coming. I was trimming down 2-inch squares yesterday. I really want to get my like little postage stamp quilt that I have been collecting for completed at some point, so that is a goal as well. So those will be, I'm cutting 2-inch squares, so those will be 1.5-inch finished squares, so it's going to be little tiny squares for hopefully a really big quilt I'm collecting. I'm trying to make it so that none of my squares are the same. It is a really fun process. It's very relaxing at night just to be trimming down those little squares. Feels really good. But yeah, I'm in heavy wanting to craft mode, but not enough time to craft mode. So I'm hopefully preparing myself for when I do have time. That's kind of the current goal right now, is getting everything set so that when I do have time to fully dive into crafts, when it's chilly, when it's snowy, when we're in the house, that I can get that stuff done. This was a little bit of a rambly video. I do usually have more cross stitch to show, so if this is your first time here, I hope you saw something that you liked. Stick around for the garden video, and I will talk to you probably next week for my craft sorting video. Not a typical Flosstube video, but we'll see what life brings. Talk to you later. Bye. Alright, so I said I would do a little garden tour. Here's kind of the grand scheme of our garden this year. Not too big, definitely smaller than we've done in the past, but it's proven to be very manageable. Alright, so this is our flower bed. My husband picked up a bunch of seeds at the library and just starting to get some blooms here. Some flowers. This one, just gorgeous. So check out your library, see if they have a seed library. That ended up being a big bonus with a bed that we didn't know what to do with. Previous years this has been a garlic bed, but we decided not to do garlic this year. Alright, this is what a mullein looks like when you let it go. So it did have flowers on it before. So the leaves of this, it's medicinal. It's good for like respiratory stuff, but also it's known as cowboy toilet paper because in a pinch in the outdoor world, this wouldn't hurt, and it's a very thick leaf. Fun fact. Here's our strawberry bed. This started with 2 strawberry plants that had a lot of runners on them, and I just kind of have expanded it as it's expanded. It's been producing for, I don't know, almost 2 months now. There's a big red strawberry in there that I'm gonna go grab that I can see. I mean big in comparison. This bed doesn't produce giant strawberries, but they are good. Alright, this bed has our zucchinis. It did have cucumbers, but we lost them in a frost, a late frost, and I just didn't bother replanting. They have been plentiful, as you can see on the stalk where we've pulled some out from. Alright, and this has been the joy of our garden so far this year. I planted 6 sweet pepper plants, or regular pepper plants, and then 3 spicy ones. So these are this is our not spicy bed. So these are called Big Berthas, and they'll just be like red and or green bell peppers, but they're pretty giant. I mean, let's see if I can get like this with a hand. They're big. They're as big as my hand. So true to the name. I'm just looking really lush. These are orange blaze, so these will be orange when they ripen. And then this plant in here, these are like more like snacking peppers, even though they do look kind of like a hot pepper. That plant got smashed in the car when we brought it home, and it did make a good recovery though. We got really lucky this year. No beetles. Last year they really got our peppers good. Alright, these ones are super cool. So they're like stripy. They're called candy cane chocolate cherries. And like the leaves also are kind of colored and smattered. And then these are California Wonders. These are your typical I just got bit by a mosquito, ouch. These are your typical like bell peppers that you would see like in stores. They're usually smaller when we grow them at home though. But here's another one of those striped ones. They're just really, really cool looking. Alright, and then I planted only 1 tomato plant this year. These are sun golds, and this is the color that they turn. That one's ripe. That's about what you'll get. We had a really good rain the other day, so I need to come out here and kind of adjust those. And then, or harvest them. And then we've got, these are tridents. These are like Anaheim chilies. And then serranos and a bumble, if you can see him. A little bit of bug activity over here, but not a lot. And then just traditional jalapenos. This bed also houses our scallions. But yeah, that is just one tomato plant. So definitely don't need a lot. There's a lot of fruit on there. I'm the only one in my house that eats raw tomatoes, so I will end up making like a Tuscan chicken with a like fresh tomato sauce with those, and that usually helps it. But even with the amount that we have, like I can even make a salsa with these. Oh, I really need to get out here. This is kind of intense. Okay, so we're not going to pick all these right now. I don't have hand space for it. All right, and then we did not do a good job of like actual gardening this year and like clearing out our beds. There's wild strawberries in the bottom of there, but they don't produce anything. This is a blueberry plant that the birds always get to before us. My lavender. And then here are like the leftovers of our raspberries, our raspberry bush. They were great producers this year, I think because of the rain. And then our neighbors have started building an orchard. They have a cool garden too. But look at our Cortland apples this year are looking so good. Our leaves have a little bit of rust spots, but it doesn't seem to affect the fruit too much. I hope it doesn't affect our neighbor stuff, but lots of apples this year. So really excited about those. Hopefully the squirrels don't take them all away like they have in previous years, and we can make a pie. That would be great. Alright, that's the garden this year. Not too much. Just enough.